Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Biblio Fitness. Hope everyone had a great day. I started off great. I started the gym again yesterday. Um, I progressed on all my lifts on my leg day yesterday, and I also did the same for today, which was my push B. Um, I think I'm gonna hit 140 on the bench next week. I already have 11. No, I think I'm gonna go for like one more rep just to be safe. It's very funny how, even like I'm gonna talk about Beyond Good and Evil in a moment, but I want to go off on a tangent or digress for a moment, if I may. It's funny how I started off this channel thinking it's gonna be like about bodybuilding and stuff, and I've come to realize, because it's something innate, like something that's developed within myself, is that those sort of channels can be quite boring and quite stupid. Pretty shallow, if you ask me. It's not fulfilling. Like, I like watching it for like the training, but you'll catch me a lot of times like skipping through their day in life shit, like, really seeing what they're doing and what they're up to. And I just don't feel like I you know why do I have to pretend to connect with someone that doesn't even know I exist? People just playing the game of, look at me, I'm a cheerful member of the community and the group, look at me. So thank you, Beyond Good and Evil, for allowing me to see it that way. But the point is that it's funny how that channel, like, my content obviously has completely diverged from the original premise, which it's now about a lot of books, a lot of philosophy and history and stuff like that. Like, I'm not a guy. I'm not. I like, the way I like to view it is, I'm not a gym rat that reads every once in a while, but it's the other way around. Like, I'm a nerd that decided to go hit the gym. I don't know, that's pretty cool. But beyond that, let's talk about Beyond Good and Evil. I finished it a few days ago. I'm still, like, I was processing it for a little bit, thinking about it. And it's the most profound book I've ever read. It's already changed my life, and it's probably going to continue to change it further, because that's the greatness of those books. And that's something that I believe Nietzsche talked about towards the end of it as well, is the sign of a person's greatness is how long for the sun, for the light to reach you, for the light to reach mankind. Like, he was making a lot of he was talking, like, he was comparing a lot with stars. You know what I'm saying? It was very interesting. And he talks about how, requital, the behavior of requital, how people from a higher, for like the noble caste, the higher men, they don't look for favors, they don't look up high, they never look up high for drips of the favor of another individual. It's always quid pro quo, like, you know what I'm saying? Tit for tat, I guess. Yeah. It's constant exchanging of honors, privileges, modesty, behaviors, gifts. It's this like, the way that you respect that individual is the way you respect yourself, because you are at that level where you understand that this is an equal. Like, this is someone that is not beneath you. This is someone that, you can respect that, because it takes a very different person to be able to reach the levels that Nietzsche calls for. And the From High Mountains, the episode at the very end of Beyond Good and Evil is absolutely beautiful. And I apologize. I want to apologize before we continue any further, because I know for a fact that I'm not going to be able to provide it the level of justice that it deserves. Really, you have to read it for yourself, and obviously it requires a whole lot of context, which, I mean, requires the entire content of the book that you just read. And how he talks about, the greatest thing about this book is, like, I've been saying this so many times, but, I'm going to continue to repeat it because it's just resonating so much with me, is that all of this just makes sense. When I look at philosophy, when I used to read, like, I would read, like, I would start Plato, or I would watch a philosophy video about Immanuel Kant or Hegel, or, like, all these motherfuckers. There was always something very innately wrong with like there was something ringing in the back of my head. Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, what's going on here? Especially with, well, like stoicism. That's why for a long time it took me a while to be able to like even touch it. Really, it sounded very Christian. You know, you could tell Christianity got a lot of its virtues from stoicism. And stoicism in itself is contradictory in nature because of the simple fact that it tells you to act in nature, to help one another, to chase the good. And that's something that's even from the very beginning, from Plato, right? Like, our instincts and our reason naturally want us to go to the good, whatever the fuck that even means, right? And which doesn't make any sense, like, to act morally, to act justly, to always keep your chest high and always say the truth and all this shit. I'm like, that doesn't sound like nature at all. Nature is a vicious, there's no morals in the jungle. There's no morals, there's no virtues, there's no God. There's only survival. There's only the will to power. There's only the will to conquer. There's only the will to survive. And that is nature. But you know, I just love how Nietzsche had just brought that to light. Like I said, like, I know I'm being a little exaggerative when I say I knew all this, or this all makes sense. Like, obviously, you know, he's on a whole nother level of analysis, and that's one of them is the necessity of lies, and how we really try for a very long time. Like, you know, we're constantly looking at ourselves in shame. You know, we look at our instincts in shame, and we look at ourselves in shame. And I know I completely diverged from the episode. I apologize. Um, I I had a little fun after the gym. So, but whatever. You know how we all need that stuff, and how Nietzsche really gives the path to get out of it. You know, one thing is to be aware, but how aware are you? And then, you know, and I obviously said that, you know, it's to reflect upon yourself and to reach those levels beyond morality, when you start realizing that these things are an absolute joke, and we only need them in order for us to continue playing. And I don't mean joke. You know, I think joke was an inappropriate word to use there, but these are necessary fables that we have to that we have to adhere to, and these are all stemming from drives. These are all stemming from passions. These are all stemming from immoral behavior in order to make morality. It's only through immorality that you can be moral. Um, it's very interesting hypothesis, and I'm in complete agreement with it. Is that we just find justifications for our actions using religion, and how we don't really fucking change no matter what we do. You know, it's but yet we always want to act like it's not. That's not the case. Like, it's so obvious, but yet, you know, it's double think, really. You know, believing two opposite realities at once, or accepting or realizing two realities at once, like two completely antithetical and realities and antithetical values. And you know, and I love how, like, when you get to the mountaintop, you do become, obviously you're going to be a very changed person. um you know, the views and the beliefs that you have are going to be completely different from the common morality, because the common morality is all about, you know, each other, helping each other, being there for each other, a cult of suffering, as Nietzsche calls. And he's like, oh, I would love to see the pendulum of the gay science come about and stuff like that, which is pretty fucking cool, actually. I don't think that, yeah, I need that. But aside from that, the gay science, it took me a little bit to get it, but I guess he means happy as in uh, affirming towards life, not rejecting nature, not rejecting one's drives, not rejecting one's instincts, but managing it and being able to also control the stupid in them, as he says, not just the reason, but the stupid, the impulses, how to take control of that, and not to look at yourself in a negative light, not look at your instincts in a negative light, and understand that you need these things, that you shouldn't try to overcome them, or or eviscerate them from yourself entirely. You know, people have it incorrect that our reason trumps over our drives when it's the other way around, right? It is the reason that is a filter for our drives, right? Like, you know, we use religion, we use reason, we use all these fallacies and these truths and these constructs in order to vindicate and justify our actions, our thoughts, our wills. You know, it's fucking fantastic. You know, it's just lies that we need in order to continue playing. And when you start listening to the morality of another individual or another people, you become a slave. You know, now they control you. Now you have to act the way they want to. And it's all beneficial. It's all self-interest. You know, I was listening to a podcast on Rochefort, uh, Rochefort, who wrote Moral Maxims and his influence on Nietzsche. And he talks about self-interest, self-love, passions, how we make excuses for cruelty. And to be able to escape from that sort of thing, you know, like not even escape from it, but understand it and see it for what it is, and not just accept it and understand that you are being manipulated in a sort of way to exercise your drives and your will and your passions onto something dictated by someone else, you know. Like in 1984, this always happens. You know, there has to be an exercise of pleasures. There has to be, even though I think I still get them wrong. Like somehow reason completely dominated it all. But I think I need to read a little bit more before I do such a deep dive on that. But you know, and to actually want to reach the mountains and see him, as he says, in the high mountains. And it's a really cool, interesting point when they finally, like, his new friends finally meet him, but they are alarmed. They're in fear of what they've seen. Like, you know, this is a completely changed man. This is a weathered man, a huntsman. You know, you're living up in the mountains. You know, it's going to be very tough to live up there. Not a lot of food, not a lot of shelter, high winds and stuff. And how he talks about how it changed him, how and they don't seem to be ready for that. You know, they're frightened by what they've seen, and you know that's what you have to become in order to be traveling up there, dealing with all the realities and dealing with and looking on down and seeing humans pass, you know, beyond the point of good and evil. You know, not be limited by these concepts and words that are just, you know, wills to power. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna do a complete div. I've talked about this quite a bit on my previous videos, but it's really cool. You know, you're able to see that that's what they really are. Religions and philosophies is a justification or vindication or trying to show off, or you know, trying to exercise your will and your beliefs and your biases, your based on your region, your country, your God, your religion, all these other subjective things, subjective experiences that has caused you to have this conclusion. But like, you know, people want to say that they were inspired by something metaphysical, by something outside of themselves. And I just love it how, you know, it is a big cost to get rid of that, because you are going to be wildly different from everybody else. You are going to be a complete outsider, very gruffle, very tough, very, you know, hard, you know. It's a hard lifestyle. Hard times breed hard men. So we're so fucking soft now, probably. I mean, that's not probably, that's a big reason. And they run away, and he talks about, oh, you know, I'll just have to wait until I meet new friends. You know, I'm gonna have this feast, and you know, at noon, this noon feast, this new summer or something like that. The second summer, where the sun's at the highest, and we're two. You know, where a person becomes two, and how I'm gonna have a feast, and we're waiting on the guest Zarathustra to come around. You know, the man that will bring about the wedding of light and of darkness and light. It's pretty fucking cool, because that's what Nietzsche really is about, is embracing your instincts. Embracing that cruel animal in you that people want to pretend that they want nothing to do with it, but it's that animal that controls us. Our ideologies and all these things are just filters to justify the animal in us, not the other way around. Um, it's amazing to be able how he talks about this shit, and with that in mind, ideologies and religions also become hiding places, right? It's something to hide, or to justify a behavior that is not proper, or whatever the case may be. Towards the end of the book, he talks about the hermit, and how the hermit believes that no philosopher can ever really say a final thought or a final decision on anything. They're all going to be foreground conclusions. What is a book but hidden intentions and stuff like that. How it's very arbitrary and very interesting how when you read someone's work, why did they stop at this point? Why did they look around and they put the spade down and they just sat down and that's it? They didn't keep going. Behind every floor, behind every solid ground, there's an abyss. Behind every other cave is a deeper cave. And how only people really truly isolated for a long time might be able to only really scour the labyrinth in its entirety. And what are books and what are words but mask, justifications, really. We got too smart for our own good, and we don't want to accept the fact that we are animals, no matter how hard we want to try to accept that we're not. I don't think I do this slide anymore, but it's pretty cool. It just calls humanity for what it is, and just makes you realize that good and evil, what are these concepts but mere words, really. There's no absolute truth to them. Good is a point of view. And to look at that way, obviously, is to be, Machiavellian, which is what I'm reading right now. I'm reading The Prince by Machiavelli. To be Machiavellian, to actually adhere to realpolitik is something looked down on. It's like, why? I'm being looked down on reality. But that just shows you the behavior, to escape from the group thought is very perilous indeed. You're going to be ostracized. You're going to be guilt tripped. You're going to be made feel guilty and stuff like that. So it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to accept. It's a lot to process. Probably going to be talking about it a little bit more as the days go by, I suppose. A lot to talk. I'm gonna continue writing and see what I really end up focusing in on. It's very it's astounding, to say the least. So I hope everyone gets to read it. If you haven't already, if you have, you know what I'm talking about. It's a life changing. I want to read The Prince, but I kind of I don't know. I want to keep reading Nietzsche, to be quite honest with you. So I hope you all have a great day. Thank you all for listening. That will obviously be all for today. I have to go to work in a bit. Hope you all make some gains. Okay, please read as well. Get your knowledge up. And I love you all. Until next time. Peace.